She was catapulted into the world of adult sexuality.
How can a single magazine cover set off a worldwide debate? In 1979, Time put a 14-year-old Brooke Shields on its front page, calling her a phenomenon.
These males needing me to be in a certain category to serve their story. And it never was about me. It was never protective of me. It was fun and loving at times, but I was just there.
What looked like a coronation was really the start of a battle between fashion and morality, art and exploitation, childhood and commerce.
I'm amazed that I survived any of it.
By 1980, she was 15, and a television spot made her name unavoidable. She stared into the lens, denim wrapped tight, and delivered the line that detonated. "Nothing comes between me and my Calvins."
You want to know what comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing.
The backlash was immediate. Networks pulled the ads. Canada banned them. Outside department stores, strangers screamed at her mother. How could you? It didn't stop there. Major U.S. networks refused to broadcast the spot. In Europe, newspapers denounced the imagery as obscene, proof, they said, that fashion had crossed a line by using a child to sell sex. Watchdogs demanded action.
When I was 15, I didn't understand Calvin Klein I was away when they all came out and then started hearing, oh, the commercials have been banned here and Canada won't play them and paparazzi and people screaming at me and screaming at my mother, how could you?
The world split in two. For some, the jeans became irresistible. For others, a scandal they would never forgive. Every headline made the campaign louder. Calvin Klein wasn't improvising. He was testing a formula. Outrage could sell. Desire could be staged as debate. And Brooke was the first shocking proof of it. Not even a teenager turned into a marketing weapon. He would repeat the tactic in the years ahead. Kate Moss, heroin chic. But Brooke was the original scandal. The moment a child was sold as provocation. And through it all, her interior world didn't match the spectacle outside.
I was a kid, and where I was naive. I was a very protected, sequestered, kind of young woman in a bubble that my mom was just paroling the outside of.
Calvin knew exactly why he chose Brooke. By 1980, her name already carried a charge. Half starlet, half scandal. He didn't invent the controversy, he amplified it. To see where that charge was first lit, we have to go back. Into a childhood already staged for cameras. Brooke Shields had been in front of lenses long before she could choose for herself. Her mother had pushed her into modeling, the kind of studio shoots that turned innocence into product. At 10 years old, Brooke was placed in front of Gary Gross's camera, photographed in ways that blurred childhood and adulthood. Her mother called it art, a portfolio for her career. Brooke's own recollection tells a different story.
I wasn't, but when you're 15 and you're in high school, and then to bring those out, it was embarrassing.
And that's the crazy thing with your mom that I can't figure out.
She had this crazy justification for things. She believed that as long as she was in my personal life, keeping me safe and virginal and pure and all that.
Those images foreshadowed what was coming. Because just 2 years later, Brooke starred in Louis Malle's Pretty Baby. She was 11, playing a child raised in a New Orleans brothel. At Cannes, the film was celebrated as daring cinema. In America, it detonated a moral panic. Parents' groups demanded bans. Senators denounced it as indecent. Critics argued endlessly. Was this art or exploitation?
It was about, these males needing me to be in a certain category to serve their story. And it never was about me. It was never protective of me. It was fun and loving at times, but I was just there. I was a pawn.
The scandal defined her before she even reached high school. And yet, instead of retreating, Hollywood doubled down. Time decided to make her its headline. On the cover, a 14-year-old declared the Brooke Shields phenomenon. Time was not gossip. It was the country's record of politics and power. Now it was dissecting a girl. The article painted her as prodigy, as beauty, as symbol. And in doing so, it ignited a national argument. Was she a talented actress, a manufactured product, or evidence of a culture willing to sexualize a child? Talk shows debated her like policy. Politicians weighed in. Feminists saw her as proof of patriarchal exploitation. Conservatives called her the symptom of collapsing morality. Parents argued in kitchens, teachers in classrooms. Everyone except Brooke herself. To her, the words were dazzling but alien. Phenomenon, icon, even the most beautiful conglomerate in the world.
The most beautiful conglomerate in the world, they called you.
Yeah, they called me a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's one of those awkward moments. There was Brooke brings back the bikini. There was a bunch of, it's all.
The cover didn't just crown a star, it turned a teenager into a battlefield. And while Time was still on newsstands, her next storm was already sealed on film. In 1980, the Blue Lagoon put Brooke back at the center of another scandal. Marketed as a romantic survival story, it placed a 15-year-old at the heart of a sexual coming-of-age fantasy. Body doubles were used for the explicit shots, but the distinction was invisible to audiences. What they saw, what the posters suggested, was Brooke Shields discovering desire on screen. And that image was enough. The outrage swelled. Religious groups called it immoral. Critics accused it of glamorizing underage sex. Parents who had raged over Pretty Baby now felt vindicated, joined by new voices horrified that Hollywood was repeating the same transgression. And yet, the film became one of the biggest box office hits of the year. Outrage and profit fed each other. The contradiction was total. The scandal only made the spectacle stronger. And now, it was obvious why Brooke was the perfect figure for Calvin Klein's most provocative campaign. She was controversy incarnate. Though she had no idea. Sitting in front of the camera, delivering the line, she believed it was just denim. While the men behind the lens knew the world would hear something else, she began to push back. Vogue covers, modeling contracts, film roles like Endless Love, glimmers of choice in a life others had already scripted. Even while she was still in school, she kept showing up in front of cameras. In February 1980, she became the youngest ever to appear on the cover of US Vogue. More followed. French, German, American issues. Not much runway footage exists, but the covers alone cemented her as fashion's new face. And in those moments, she sensed the cost, that every image, every shoot, was still filtered through someone else's story.
We acted like little kids together. And I don't think either one of us in our lives really had the environment to do that safely.
The headlines eventually moved on. Brooke's career did not end. Films, modeling, even Broadway. But the shadow of her childhood never left. Then came another blow. In the late 1980s, photographer Gary Gross tried to resell the nude images he had taken of her at 10, originally published by Playboy Press. Brooke and her mother went to court to stop it. They lost. The law said the images were his. She was reminded again that her own likeness did not belong to her.
But when you're 15 and you're in high school, and then to bring those out, it was embarrassing. She had this crazy justification for things. She believed that as long as she was in my personal life, keeping me safe and virginal and pure and all that.
And even after that, her image kept being recycled. In December 1986, Brooke appeared on the cover of Playboy magazine, fully clothed without posing for the inside pages. It was unusual for Playboy, selling a cover with Brooke Shields' face alone. A reminder that her name, more than anything, had become a commodity, an icon of controversy, used to sell copies even when she gave nothing away. At the same time, she was carving another path. Brooke studied French literature at Princeton, trying to claim the one thing that had always been denied, her own voice. Decades later, she stands in a different light, acting, writing, speaking on her own terms. For younger audiences, she's just another actress in new Netflix films, not the girl once turned into a cultural scandal. Maybe that's progress. Or maybe it's forgetfulness. Which Brooke Shields do you know? The child turned controversy? Or the woman still reinventing herself?